Hey everyone, welcome back to Land Investing Online. Come unlock your potential freedom through land investing. Here at Land Investing Online, we teach students how to profitably buy and sell vacant land. This is the simplest, least competitive, and most profitable sector of real estate. To learn more, visit landinvestingonline.com. We even have a free Discord with tons of successful investors, including Ron and myself. Come learn from the best. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you're listening on. It means a ton to Ron and I, and it really pushes this business forward. As always, guys, I'm Daniel Apke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron. Welcome back, Ron.
Oh, Dan, first episode in person.
Yeah, doing this one in person up here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we'll talk about that a little bit because this episode is about unlocking your freedom through land investing and just the freedom that is involved with this business model. But before we get into that, let's go over one of our questions from a member. So what's the best part of land investing to you, Ron?
I think we're going to get into this a lot during the episode, so I don't want to make this too long or anything. But to me, it's the freedom. Like, I do love land. Don't get me wrong. I love land. I enjoy real estate. I like land. Like we say in our beginning, Daniel says, it's the simplest form of real estate. We're not just saying that just to say it. Land is very simple as far as flipping. There's a ton of things you have to learn, but the freedom it provides for myself and my family is why I love it so much, why I love this business model so much. But we'll touch base on this a lot during the episode.
Yeah, we won't get too into that. It goes really in hand with what we're going over. But let's get into today's topic, unlock your freedom through land investing. So in my mind, I'm reading a book right now, and we've been talking a lot about our purpose and mission and all that. And the book is Your Next 5 Moves. And in that book, he talks about the 4 stages of your why, so of your purpose, the 4 stages. So there's survival. That's number 1. That's, you're paying your bills. You're working to get by, to feed yourself, your family, whatever it is, your survival status. We've all been there. Most of us have been there. I've been there in the past. It's just a part of life. The second stage is status. That's number 2. It's you get your promotion because you want to be a manager and you really don't like to be a manager. Maybe you just want the status, or you're an entrepreneur to say you're an entrepreneur, or whatever that is. It's to enhance your status upon society. The third one, and the one that I fell in love with, and the one that we're talking about in this episode, is freedom. So you can, live in Colorado in the winter or Hawaii in the summer and surf. You have financial freedom, mental freedom from the business. That's stage 3. And then the 4th stage is purpose. And that's actually like, what do you want to be remembered as? But getting from that survival status for me to the freedom that I had just changed the world for me. And it did so much for me. Just having that financial flexibility along with the location flexibility and the other things we'll discuss in this episode. So it's kind of how I see it now is our why and purpose. Our stage 4 is more like helping other people get from their survival status to the freedom that I saw and that we experienced. And I just saw how much that did for me. So I want to help others get there.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Dan. Like that freedom aspect, it's a really big step on these 4 steps that Daniel talks about as far as survival, status, freedom, and purpose. Freedom is like, I think that's what everyone, when they're at survival or status, wants to get to. And they don't, once you get there, I think to the freedom, like you feel in your gut, I think that there's a little more out there. And that's the purpose, where the purpose comes in. But what this business can do for you and what Daniel's talking about as far as providing freedom, like that's what we want to do for our students, paid and unpaid. Whether you're in the course or not, like we want to help you out in Discord with these podcasts. That's our goal, is to help you out. Obviously there's a lot that you have to put into it in terms of work. But our goal is to help people become free financially, physically, with your time, what you want to do with your time. That's the goal for us and our mission with all of our companies. So, but going after that, like our purpose, and that's kind of our purpose. That's what we want to give to people is freedom. Talking about that's the course. Talking about with our land business, we view land as freedom. So when we're buying from someone, we're helping give them freedom by giving them money quickly for their land. And then obviously when we sell it, let's say we're selling 5 acres, 2 hours outside of a big city, we're probably giving someone in that big city freedom, owning that 5 acres. They can build a dream house on it. They can build a cabin. It can be a hunting place. Like they have a lot that in itself is giving freedom to the end buyer. So it's kind of circles all the way around, I think, with the whole freedom aspect. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So when we're talking about freedom, then I guess let's get into the actual specifics that we're talking about. So what has this? There's freedom on both sides, right? There's freedom, like Ron was just discussing, on the selling side and providing that freedom, that financial freedom to the person we're buying it from, and then pairing that up with, someone's land, someone's future 5 acres or whatever it is. They see that as their freedom, their place, their hunting, whatever it is, like Ron said. But for us, the freedom that we have, like we said at the beginning of this, we're doing this from in person. We live in two separate cities. Last week, Ron was in South Carolina. Last week, I was in Florida. This week, we're both in Cincinnati. You can do this from anywhere. I did this from North Carolina a few weeks ago. That location independence was really big for me. Just not going in somewhere every day and reporting to someone and going in an office and having to be somewhere all the time is big, and really depends on what your lifestyle is. You can do this still living in the same spot your whole life and just have that freedom to work whenever and wherever you want. But that's kind of the first one that I had written down.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I think I've always like grown up, and I think a lot of people like look at vacations as like just get away from work, don't do anything work related, do it once or twice a year. A lot of families, it's once a year. Some families, it's no time. What I'm trying to view it as, and it's not really vacation. I mean, it's getting away, just like traveling, visiting new places, and being able to work from different places. A lot of jobs nowadays are remote just with COVID and everything like that. But at the same time, you still don't have your time freedom. So the way I'm kind of looking at traveling, like, it's different than like we're going to schedule one vacation in June every year or something like that. It's we're going to go on once a month, maybe for, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks. I'm going to work from there, but I'm also going to get to enjoy a different city or a different type of nature with my family and stuff. And that's how I'm viewing it. Those are my personal goals with the freedom aspect, is being able to travel with my family, whatever, if it's 6 or 8 times a year, for a couple weeks, but also working from those different locations. Cause work isn't something I want to get away from. Like a lot of people view it. It's something I'm more than fine doing, but the freedom and the ability to choose where to do it from is, so valuable to me.
Yeah, and that's actually why I moved to Florida in the first place. Is I had another e-commerce business, and I was at that point I could really do it from wherever, and I was living in Ohio, and I just decided to kind of get up and go, because, like I said, I could do it from wherever, but I still come back to Ohio whenever I want. Like, I didn't know I was coming here until I think last week, and I just booked it. I didn't need to give anyone notice, which brings me to my next point. I didn't know I didn't need to get anyone notice, or it's really up to us. So time management, you're on your own schedule, your own time. This is your business. You're not reporting to anyone else. Time management for me is a big one. I personally, I didn't mind my 9 to 5 job. I actually enjoyed it, but I didn't like having to report to someone else, to be honest, necessarily. Like, it's my manager and everything was great, but I just like being in charge of my own time.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing for me personally. Like tomorrow, for example, I'm going to golf in the morning, and I'll probably work a little late tonight. I'll obviously work tomorrow after I'm done, but from whatever 8 to noon or something, I'm going to be golfing and just enjoying my time. It's a Friday tomorrow. It's Thursday right now. I'll get my work done by any means, but the ability to be able to do what you want on your own schedule, like setting your own schedule, is extremely empowering, I think, and very valuable. And I think a lot of people nowadays, Dan, are aspiring for that.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't really know where to go for it, I think. So that's what we're trying. Like, that really is our goal of Land Investing Online in the course, is to give people an avenue. Not saying we're guaranteeing anything, but giving people an avenue to enjoy that freedom in life.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm trying to think. So now you have all that time management and freedom, then you just got to make sure you're using that time wisely, because that's a huge advantage of owning your business, but some people can take advantage of that. So you just have to make sure to stay disciplined and get what you need done, especially at the beginning when you're still in the initial growth phase. But the next one that everyone's waiting to hear about, I'm sure if you're talking about this, we talked about location and just time management and working on your own schedule. The big one that everyone comes in this game for, most people, is the financial independence. This business is extremely lucrative. You can make a lot of money fairly quickly. We both did it. We were both full-time, and after 6 months, we made quite a bit of money, and didn't have to rely on anything else for income at all besides this land business. So it's up to you how much money you make, to be honest. We have students that make $500,000 in 6 months, and then and we have students who make a couple 100,000 a year and are fine with that and just coasting, and they're saving up for tuition or their vacations, or they like their other job and they're doing this for, just like we said, financial freedom and independence.
I think for me personally, I think one of our, and I think I've talked about this probably in other podcasts, is our society's obsession with being busy. You can work 10 hours a week in this business and make $250,000 a year pretty easily. Opposed to being efficient with your time. Every businesses, bosses, stuff like that, they're obsessed with being busy opposed to being efficient. And that stigma, I think, really hurts employees. It hurts us as people because people think they're being productive when they're just busy. It's two different things in my mind. What are your kind of, we're trying to get freedom, Dan. What are your kind of mindset? Because some people might be at the point of scaling a business. What are your kind of mindset with an employee as far as giving them freedom? Like, is that something you value, or something you sell to potential employees as far as being able to be a little more free with their time, or is it something you're 9 to 5?
In terms of our employees, you're saying?
Yeah. And obviously traveling and all of that, they're 100% remote, which I think we're giving them that freedom. That freedom is very sought after. Like when we post jobs, the remote thing is probably the most asked question.
Yeah, and last time we put up our application for a transaction coordinator, which was last summer, I think was the last time we hired for that. We got like 20 responses, 20 applicants. This time in the first week, this time we got almost 80, maybe even more than 80, including all the emails that were coming through. So people are just looking for remote work, and that's a big part of freedom. There's pros and cons with remote work, and I can go into that. Especially like I've been thinking of it a lot the last few days because Elon Musk announced that he's bringing people back. So I've been thinking of that. But in terms of freedom for our employees, I mean, our mission in our business is about freedom, providing it to our buyers and sellers. And I think that's kind of our culture, and that's what we're going to continue to build our culture around of. Location freedom is just one part of freedom. Mental freedom, doing something you love. Like you can be as locked up as you want. Like you could be working 10-hour days. You can't leave the office. But if you're doing something you really love and you actually feel comfortable and you feel like you're providing that value, that is extremely freeing to someone. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm trying to align all of our employees with that freedom mindset. Yeah, they might have to work 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. I mean, we're a business. We got to operate just like any other business. And there's going to be employees that have to be on the clock at certain times. But we try to provide as much freedom in other areas. I want to start implementing, it's called like a lifestyle bonus. I was thinking of this the other day. We haven't done it. This is the first time I've even talking about it, but something to just give employees to spend on themselves in like a healthy way. And I don't know what that criteria is going to be, but travel, spa day, things like that to help them, just balance their work and life. Maybe like new gear and new bike, whatever it is, something, a healthy lifestyle to get you outdoors or active, something around that. But there's so much more to freedom than just financial freedom and location freedom. We try to align like I said, we just try to align our employees with that mindset of freedom and creating that opportunity and make them feel valued and that there's a bigger purpose to this company.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And I think our employees kind of, buy into that part. Like they work really, really hard for us, but at the same time, I think us having as defined roles for employees, and Daniel's talked about before, as far as us going through the book Traction and kind of really being, really defining our roles, and each person has a specific role. And that role has specific tasks that they need to complete. I think really defining that gives us trust in them, and they also have that accountability where they're holding themselves accountable. And I think that in itself gives a little bit of freedom with them because they know what's expected of them. We expect a lot of our employees, don't get us wrong, but at the same time, like I think providing that freedom aspect is really big for retaining talent, I think, Dan.
Yeah, half that battle too is just aligning people in the right roles and getting people in the right seat. Obviously, a genetic salesperson who's all their attributes are around sales, you put them in a numbers role like accounting or something, they're not going to be free in their mind. Their mind's going they're not going to enjoy what they're doing. So half that battle I feel like is just aligning them correctly.
Yeah, and I think opposed to firing, I think before firing, if it's the right culture fit in terms of us, what we look at their core values, trying them at a different role before firing, I think that's the mindset we kind of have with that. To give them as much of a chance. And if they are in that right role that's aligned for them, they might be a completely different person. Um, but let's get back onto the freedom with potential students, Dan, or what they can expect or what they need to do to kind of gain this freedom. I think that's what people want. Like, what do they have to do to gain this freedom beyond just financial, I guess?
Yeah, and there's trade-offs with anything. So if you're new or you're just starting, you're going to have to invest in yourself. It's going to be upfront cost. You're going to have to invest in yourself. You're going to have to probably buy a course, or you can try doing it yourself. You'll end up probably buying a course, and you have to send mail and do all that stuff. There's trade-offs to everything, just like it's a risk. But with those trade-offs, you get the location independence. I mean, Ron and I always say it takes about 6 months of consistency to get this. But the financial independence, location independence, and then your own work on your own schedule. Those are the three big ones that I see with what new students are getting with us.
Yeah, 6 months. In the grand scheme of things, six months is nothing. We're not, like I keep saying, I think we're not guaranteeing anything, but it's more than realistic. We have an extremely high success rate with determined and students who are determined to be successful. Those first 6 months, it's a roller coaster. Don't get me wrong, and we kind of have to sometimes get them level headed when they get too down or too high, because you can get on both sides of it. You get one really good deal and you're really excited and I'm going to go to the moon. Like, no, you still need that consistent work on a day-to-day basis. But 6 months, I think, is, I mean, there's no other business you can really do that in to gain this type of freedom this quickly, in my mind.
No, and that's originally why we got on it, to take you from that survival stage to the three of the stage 3 of the freedom, and that's the biggest thing. And there's no other business model in my mind. I'm obviously biased about it, but I've been in tons of other online businesses, drop shipping, Kindle publishing. Those all provided freedom for me, but the financial freedom that you get with this business in the amount of time and effort you spend it's the most efficient in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, if we calculated our, whatever you want to say, hourly rate at the end of the year, like, the hourly rate is absurd what you get for this.
Good point.
And in a humble way, it's not like I'm trying to say anything crazy, but the value, if you're doing this correctly, the amount of money you can make per hour you really put into real work is hundreds of dollars per hour in my mind. It definitely is. Like, there's no question about it. And that's what I look at. Like, what business fits for you if you're trying to make money and be financially free? Like, nothing else. And as you get bigger with this and create systems, you become not necessarily more free, but you work less and make more as you learn this business, as you get employees, as you scale things, just scale systems in general, and you're more willing to spend money on some really important things. You just become more value. Every hour becomes more valuable for you.
Yeah, it just brings me back that probably I'd say 50% of our viewers, or maybe 25%, have probably already read this book, and it's one of the most well-known books in the world. But it just, what Ron just said brings me back to the 4-hour work week. Like, you get your systems up in place. Well, you get running, get profitable, you start making money, you get your systems in place, and you start working on those high value things. The 4-hour work week is all about that.
Yeah. When I was talking to, I don't know if it was Daniel, or I don't think it was Daniel. I was talking to someone and they just said, like once you stop, and it's difficult, like if you have 5 deals at a time, like, it's difficult to not care about every single one of those deals really passionately. But when you detach yourself from an individual deal and look at it as a whole, like, that's when you really start to grow. Like, right now, whatever, we're buying 30 properties right now. I don't know about every single property. I'm definitely still too invested in each individual property, opposed to the process and making sure we have a team in place to handle each of those properly. But once you can detach yourself from individual deals, individual sales, whatever it is, that's when you can really grow and scale to making this business from $1 million business to a $5-10 million business.
Yeah, instead of looking at each deal and saying, oh, we're buying this for 50 and selling it for 110 or whatever the numbers are, we're buying this for 25 and selling it for 55. You look and we say, oh, we have 30 properties right now in escrow purchasing that we're purchasing. We have 27 properties for sale. We have 15 properties on the closing side, and you look at it as a big picture and look at that balance and look how much money, you just start looking at, you expand, you start looking at things from a different perspective and from a, higher up perspective, and just valuing your time, and your time's much more efficient looking at things that way.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I don't have anything to add, Dan. You have anything else?
No, let's wrap it up. So just to summarize everything we talked about, what are the main benefits land flipping gives you from a freedom perspective? There's location independence. That was the biggest one for me, most probably. There's financial independence, which that's majority of our students come for that. There's time management and just working on your own schedule. So really just being your boss and managing your own time. But that's it, guys. Other than that, thank you guys for joining. Don't forget to join landinvestingonline.com. Join our free Discord with tons of successful investors. If you guys are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, please like and subscribe. It means the world to Ron and I. Other than that, guys, we'll see you guys next episode. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, guys.